Good Friday is a complex day full of conflicting emotions. On the one hand, the significance and the impact of the events of this day are worth celebrating. In Jesus, we have been reconciled to God, our Heavenly Father. However, this has come at a significant cost. And I think we would be remiss if we didn't take time to focus on the dark nature of this day. Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night, panicked, anxious, gasping for breath, fearful for your life? You don't know what's going on, but there is something bothering you. I know that I have, and it's one of the worst feelings in the world. And 2,000 years ago, we find Jesus in a similar place, a sleepless night, anxious. But the anxiety isn't unknown to Jesus. See, he's anxious because he knows exactly what is ahead. We find Jesus face down in prayer in the Garden of Gethsemane. And in this moment of distress, where are his closest friends? They've fallen asleep. The ones that said they would die for him are unable to keep their eyes open for him. Jesus is left alone with his heavenly Father. And what do we find him praying for? In agony, he prays, "Father, Dad, I will do anything you ask me, but is there any other way that this can be accomplished?" We are told that this burden is so heavy on Jesus that he begins to sweat blood. Suddenly, a friend arrives to meet Jesus in his distress, but Judas has not come to partner with Jesus. He has made another alliance, and he uses a kiss of all symbols as the one that will represent his betrayal. Jesus is arrested by the guards of the high priest Caiaphas and brought before the Jewish authorities. All of this in the middle of the night, and somehow there are witnesses ready to give testimony against Jesus. Who are these men? And why are they in the temple at this time of night? And why is there no one present who can defend Jesus? Why is the judge and the jury collecting evidence? Does this sound like a fair trial to you? Outside, when the option is given to side with Jesus and speak to his innocence, 3 times his friend Peter denies knowing Jesus at all. This goes on until morning. Caiaphas is worried that if Jesus continues his ministry, he will lose power over the people. So he devises a plan to wrongfully accuse Jesus of blasphemy. See, blasphemy, according to Jewish law, is punishable by death. But being under Roman rule, the religious leaders were not allowed to apply the death penalty to anyone. So he decides to partner with his greatest enemy, the Romans, to get their desired outcome, crucifixion on a Roman cross. Jesus is brought before Pilate, who cannot, in all honesty, find any fault in Jesus that deserves the death penalty. But the high priest pushes. He claims to be king of the Jews. He claims to be greater than Caesar. They push and they push. And finally, Pilate decides, "I'll let the crowd decide. Surely if given an option, they will release an innocent man over a convicted murderer." The crowds have made their choice. They know which side of the fence they are on. Barabbas! Free Barabbas! They make it clear what they want done with Jesus. Crucify him! Jesus is then handed over once more to Roman soldiers who do not care to determine innocence or guilt. They just want a place to unleash their anger and lust for violence. Jesus becomes a lightning rod for this evil. He is stripped down, he is beaten, his body is mutilated, flesh destroyed, he is spit on, mocked. Jesus is then told that he must carry his own cross to his execution site. These are the events leading up to Jesus' death. This is the way in which evil works on Good Friday. And this is the way in which people have partnered with evil powers and principalities that were at work. Judas partners with greed. Peter partners with fear. And Caiaphas partners with power. Pilate partners with a desire for adoration. And the crowd partners with lies. The Roman soldiers partner with hatred and violence. All of this is evil. It's the culmination of evil that puts Jesus on the cross. The cross in the Roman world was meant to make a spectacle of the one who hung on it. But because of who Jesus is, when he hangs on the cross, he is making a spectacle of sin and evil that is being put on him. See, Good Friday gives us the unique opportunity to look back on the events of this day and to see them for what they are, the most horrendous evil ever committed. Not just because of what was done, but because of who it was done to. We see what great lengths these powers and principalities are willing to go to make sure that Jesus does not take his rightful place in our lives and in the world, in the universe. On the cross, Jesus exposes these things for what they are: evil. It's easy for us to look back at the things done in the past and condemn them as evil. It's easy for us to look at the events of Good Friday and say, that was evil. It becomes much more difficult when we understand that we too partner with many of these powers at work. We are driven by greed, we are overworked, and will do anything and hurt anyone to get a greater paycheck. Self-preservation and fear guide many of the decisions that we make. Control and influence govern the things that we say and do. We can become so insecure that we will do anything to gain applause, believing lies that are told about ourselves and others. Ultimately, this leads us to hatred and violence towards others, whether it be in word or deed. The cross of Jesus doesn't just expose evil at work in his day, it exposes the evil at work today. This gives us the opportunity to see, fully illuminated, sin and darkness in our own lives, so that we too can ask for forgiveness. You see, before he breathes his last breath, Jesus cries out, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." Jesus goes to the cross motivated by love and the desire to forgive. He confronts and exposes darkness at work in the world so that we can turn to the light.